Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Hey everybody, I'm back from Starbase and Flight 11 of Starship, and it was really an amazing event to be at, and the flight went well. They achieved all of their milestones, and it was a fitting in for the V2 booster and ship, and kind of the end of the era of this early prototype stage. And now we're going to be looking towards V3, of the booster and of the ship, a new launch site, and a lot more. Now also, while I was down there, I noticed that there was a lot of Cybertrucks, and that's because Tesla here at Giga-Texas has an agreement with SpaceX, also XAI, and the Boring Company to be providing them a lot of these Cybertrucks, and they are delivering them down at Starbase in great numbers, as you can see by a few of these video clips. And this is a great way for SpaceX to be getting rid of their ICE and diesel vehicles, but also helps Tesla by selling a lot of the inventory of the Cybertrucks and keeping that production line going. So really great news. Now, while I'm back here at Giga-Texas, there's a few things that I want to show you. First off, the Model Y Standard is in production. I saw them coming out of the factory, and in addition to that, I saw them over in large numbers at the outbound lot. So production is definitely ramping up on them, which is a very good sign, and that's consistent with about the 1 to 2 week point that I told you about at the big reveal. Another thing that I did notice here on site today for the first time in a very long time was a Cybercab driving around the factory. Now this particular one was on the South River Road, going by the Cyber Pond and that fork statue, and then heading underneath the South Bridge towards the west. This also looks like it's a engineering vehicle, kind of had mismatched wheels, had that kind of logo on the doorway, and we saw this last over at the wind tunnel testing a few weeks ago. So that's pretty cool. Also, over at the crash test facility, there's 4 Cybercabs underneath these pretty colorful covers. We saw these covers being added onto the Cybercabs that were undergoing testing in the crash test facility my last video, and now it looks like at least 4 of them are being displayed out at that crash testing site. As far as Giga-Texas itself, the big thing that I want to talk about is up at the electrical switchyard. There has been a lot of progress since my last video. There's a perimeter fence being put in, more of the footings, vertical steel, and today one of the 2 very large transformers was actually being slid into place off of a very heavy lift trailer, and I got some great views of that work in progress. The other thing that relates to the electrical switchyard is that the huge electrical conduit that is connecting over to Cortex 2 is well underway, and one big bank has got most of the conduit laid out. There are 2 additional banks that go into the mid and north part of the building. So it looks like the energy demands for Cortex 2 are extreme, and the amount of conduit that is being put in is amazing. The last major change over at Cortex 2 to point out is that the roofing material installation is virtually completed. From south to north, that work is now done. They were doing the cleanup, and looks like we probably won't be seeing much on the roof for a while. It's great to see because they're going to be doing a lot of electrical equipment installation inside, and having a good roof is a key part of being able to do that successfully. So the last thing for today, just a reminder, the third quarter financial results are coming up next week, and here's some information about when that's going to be. It'll be here at Giga-Texas, and you'll be able to participate with the Tesla IR website. They are taking requests for questions on Say right now. So if you have anything that you would like to ask, or if you'd like to vote on the current questions, you can go to the Say.account and you'll be able to register your votes. So with that, let's get into the drone, let's fly around and see what else is going on here at Giga-Texas.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are considering purchasing Starlink, I would recommend that you use my referral link at the bottom of the screen. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. It's great to be back from Starbase flying here at Giga-Texas. So at first I thought I would stay at a higher altitude, kind of just look around the south and east sides, just get a good feel for everything that has changed in the last several days while I was gone. We still see a lot of that work on the south side of River Road, kind of the middle of the screen. That water detention pond is quite full, and more work is being done to extend the south berm of the River Road near where that intersection is with Robotic Avenue on the right-hand side of the screen. Of course, the Colorado River is at the bottom of the screen, and we're looking up across the factory, well lit, towards the downtown Austin city. And we also get a good view of that multi-level parking garage and some of that activity in the material staging yard coming in from the right-hand side of the screen. As I pull away more towards the east, wanted to look at the recycle yard again that has had some upgrades. We see the two large rectangular structures with that kind of plastic wall and the gray kind of roofing. That's where they have a lot of sorting bins. On the left, it looks like they have some sorting locations for pickup on the trucks, and in the red kind of items on the bottom right is where they have a weigh station. As we continue to fly back towards the factory, I'll come down to a lower altitude. Nice view of this material staging yard. We do see more of the steel corrugated pipes, a lot of those pipe segments, some of the manifolds, some steel items, and a little bit less of the glass that has been stored there in the wooden crates. As we go over the helicopter pad, the wind tunnel, and that old rainmaker, we see that the parking lot is essentially empty on the left-hand side. And as I zoom in, a nice view here of the superchargers going across the road and over towards one of the temporary platforms. Still some items on the ground waiting to be installed. And we've just seen a lot of materials being brought over to this part of the factory and moved up onto these platforms. There are some steel items white painted on the ground here near this larger platform. And as we continue to fly to the south, still see that grouping of materials next to that open receiving door. There is a large truck kind of partially into one of the smaller receiving doors. And as we come further to the south, we'll see a truck delivery with two large coils of material. It's either steel or maybe steel and aluminum. You can see it starting to back in this large grouping of kind of almost like red and white platform items, and many of the wooden crates, some of which on the ground at the center of the screen are being unpacked. And this gives us a little of an idea of what is inside. It looks like these kind of white containers, and it may be just some additional items for maybe stamping presses, or maybe just some other production equipment that is in this part of the factory. Now, as I pull away, we're over that water detention pond with a lot of water in it, that remaining natural pond here at the bottom of the screen. I just wanted to look at what materials are being stored here at this material staging yard. We can see that it is cleaned out quite a bit. Just some concrete manhole covers, pipe segments, and some of those green treated water pipes. As we fly over the cooling system, we see all 6 of the fans are operational. And I'm going to just maneuver over the power lines and kind of do this arcing descending turn to take a look at this excavation with these blue trench boxes. And there's a few others on the ground nearby. And this is continuing to do the work just to the north of River Road, and it's continuing underneath the road over to where they're doing some additional trenching to connect all of this together. And it's a nice low altitude look at that cooling plant. Of course, the southeast side of the factory. And it's hard to see with the glass, but they've been doing some mezzanine and some additional new column work in that part of the factory. So I'm going to kind of maneuver over towards the south side of River Road, show you some of the excavation work that is underway. Trench box laying on the ground, some of this kind of green pipe with a little bit of an interesting kind of wrap, and just some more trenching underway. Now, as I was coming in to take a look at this trench box, you'll notice on the bottom right of the screen here momentarily, I saw a Cybercab kind of driving by. And this was the first Cybercab that I've seen in a while. Now, what is interesting is that it has the hazards on, and it looks like it's maybe manually driven. It also is the same one we saw over at the wind tunnel with the mismatched wheels. We see that logo on the door, and as you can tell as it goes underneath the bridge, it kind of wanders a little bit in the lane, so it does makes me think that this might be an engineering prototype that's undergoing some sort of testing. We will see more Cybercabs under covers at the crash test facility here later in the video. But anyway, it was kind of nice to see a Cybercab running around Giga-Texas again. It has been several months. As I turn back to the south side, we can take a look at what's going on with this caisson. And we see those concrete vault prefabricated sections still in the ground. This large excavation with the kind of braces in here and some of that metal on those I-beams to keep it from collapsing in, and a view well down into how deep that is going. And it's starting to approach the bottom of that caisson. So we'll continue to watch this and see what they are up to. But I'm going to turn back towards the factory. We're going to proceed along the berm to the north, and we'll resume up by the flagpoles. There is another big story today. We'll first start here just to the north of the flagpoles, also with the new perimeter fence being put in. You can see the post at the bottom of the screen. But as we get close to the exit point for the Model Ys, I will zoom in, and what we're going to see is some of the Model Y standards now coming out of the factory. This one happens to be a black version. We're going to see the white and gray ones over at the outbound lot. You can tell that it is driving autonomously, and it proceeds on the road over to the south. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of work flying around this side of the factory, but we'll resume on the other side. We'll catch back up to it as it's arriving over at the end of line facility. But while I'm here, I'm going to just show you some of the work that's being done up near this platform. We see the yard trucks at the bottom. Some of them are being loaded up with materials that have been unpacked, and this is from much of that equipment that we've been seeing delivered into this part of the factory. So that indicates that they are doing a lot of progress in unpacking, assembling, and installing that into this part of the factory. Now on the roof, we see some of the materials associated with solar panels, and as I kind of maneuver here, we can get a good sense of this extra line of solar panels, and it really hasn't made a lot of progress in the last few months, but this is what it kind of looks like right now. So I'm going to reposition over the highway, and we're going to catch back up to that Model Y standard that is arriving over at the end of line facility. And here it is. We'll also notice that there's some bump strips that have been added to the road at the bottom of the screen. We're going to see it try to drive over it. It looks like this is part of new testing as the vehicles arrive and are driving autonomously. So it's really great to see that that Model Y standard is also following the same path with the autonomy over to this side of the factory. Now, as I zoom in here, we see a grouping of 5 white ones getting some last minute preparations. In addition to that, I will kind of pull the drone back a little bit. We'll kind of pan up, and you're going to see groupings of Model Y premiums and Model Y standards all throughout this entire location. Also, a lot of Cybertrucks. Some of these may still be headed down to Starbase, as we talked about. Others may be heading over to the Middle East, or of course just filling in some of those orders here in the United States. We do see more Model Y standards under the tents, and in this grouping, some of which are the black and gray ones in addition to the white ones. And as I continue to pull away, you can tell that production is quite robust. And it's great to see now that we're well into the fourth quarter, and there's concerns about whether they're going to be able to sell a lot or not because of all the pull forward for the third quarter. As you can tell here, the outbound lot is quite full. So I'm going to reposition the drone here, kind of look across this material staging yard, and I want to come in here to this one coming over the power lines, and we'll bring the drone down. On the right hand center of the screen, you're going to see a new red bridge crane that has been delivered. That's got the Tesla logos. Here also some steel corrugated pipe and more of those wooden crates that have been delivered and stored kind of just to the east of this large white tinted structure. There is some more materials, some crates, some in green and silver wrapping here, but the numbers in this part of the site continue to dwindle, and a lot more of it has definitely moved into the factory for installation. There is this grouping of crates, green wrapped items, some of them in blue, and this continues to seem to be accumulating, so it makes me think that this is for another part of the factory that is not quite ready for this equipment to be moved in and installed. But I'll continue to monitor this, and we'll figure out together what's going on. The grouping of transformers on the right is smaller, so they have been continuing to move more of those off-site as well, at least in this part of the Giga-Texas West Support Facility location. So we go back over the power lines and come down to this material staging yard. There's a few things that I wanted to kind of check on and also point out as we bring the drone down lower. One of which is this area here in the middle bottom of the screen. A lot of the conduit, a lot of the other materials that have been associated with the superchargers that were assembled here. There's only one of them left, and we just passed over it on the bottom of the screen. And in this location is more equipment for the 4680 cell production part of the factory, although to be honest, it does not look there's been a lot of change in this location over the last couple of days. Now on the trailer at the bottom of the screen is what appears to be that gantry crane that we saw over on the east side of stamping, but it has been disassembled and waiting for future use. This area with the transformers continues to kind of just keep this large number. I haven't seen much changes in a while, but with the other ones departing, it gives me an idea that we may see these also departing soon. I thought I would come back over to the outbound lot here on the west side, get lower and kind of fly along, and you can kind of get a sense for what is here. There's a good mix of the Model Y premiums, some of the Model Y standards, of course a lot of the Cybertrucks. What I really can't tell is if there's any performance Model Ys. And if you happen to notice that as we are flying along here, please let me know in the comment section. It's very possible that I missed it, and your ability to see this as well, maybe if you're on a bigger screen, it might help. And if we can determine if there are Model Y performances, that would be a great addition here for Giga-Texas as well. I'll bring the drone back down. We'll fly along this section of some of the new vehicles, waiting for either delivery, or maybe we'll be seeing some of these with the direct delivery now that that operation is underway. The test track is being used again. See another vehicle driving along it towards the figure 8, and the wash rack looks busy with some Cybertrucks here today. On the northwest corner of the end-of-line facility, we see what appears to be vehicles lined up for that direct delivery. So these may be customer cars getting ready for that pickup here very soon. Of course, that track with the small Cybertrucks is ready to go, so maybe that delivery event activity is going on today. So I'm going to get the drone up higher. We'll approach the highway, and we'll resume on the other side. stop here momentarily, take a look at the recycling of the cans for the 4680s, and there's also some wooden crates partially being unpacked and the rest getting ready for recycling. Also, you can tell that the grass around here is starting to turn to that orange. We're definitely into fall, and we're losing out all of that greenery that we've been seeing for a while. As we wrap around the northwest corner of the factory, take a look at some of this material just on the north side of the 4680s. I'll zoom in. You can see those cabinets on the right. Those were delivered about a week ago, and it looks like there's some platform items and other crates being unpacked right now. As we continue to fly along the north face of the factory, we'll see that there's some servicing going on for the plastics manufacturing, some wooden crates as well, some large bins with some items being stored in them, and of course the bumper paint stands, and also some of the kind of dollies that are used to move the body in white around. I also wanted to show you that there continues to be efforts here to use Cybertrucks to move around the castings with those racks and those kind of trailers that they put the racks on. A lot of the racks on the west side have Cybertruck castings in them, and then here I noticed that there's been some maneuvering around of some of the rack mounts, some of the paint stands, and just overall just a little bit different arrangement since my last video. And we also see these blue with green covered trailers here. I'm not sure if that's taking away some refuge from the furnace loading system or what that is. But here's a good view of that. It looks like it is debris. They're working on one of the loaders, and as we zoom in, we can see that the second loading system is really coming along, almost, well, maybe about 3/4 of the way assembled. And with the workers, it gives you a great sense of scale. This is what's used to help load all of this old wheels and other debris into the furnaces for melting down, and then they use those melted down components with some additional materials to make the alloys that are necessary to make the castings. We also saw some more Cybercab castings at the bottom of the screen in those rack mounts. So I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We'll fly over the baghouse filtration plant. Then we're going to head over to the east parking lot where it looks like they're getting ready for some Halloween kind of festivities that they do here every year. And we'll see that here momentarily. With the displays being set up, also it looks like a supercharger here on the right center of the screen, and some hay bales, some crashed vehicles, some Cybertrucks with the Cybertruck logo on it being displayed. Looks like they're setting up some equipment here in the bottom right of the screen, and they have some other vehicles, including that horned Model Y, which was one of the very first ones built here, that Roadster, the semi, and a big tent. As we move over this way, we can see those hail bales being set out. Looks like they're also setting up maybe some tables and using some security vehicles on this end. So it's probably going to be one of those really large Halloween festivities that they do here for the employees. And I would presume that it's going to be this weekend based on the setup going on right now. And I know that the employees have a lot of fun with that. Last year's was really great to be at. As we get over towards the crash testing facility and of course the cathode building, there are a few things that I want to show you today. We'll first start here. I'll zoom in. We can see crash tested vehicles that are getting ready for recycling. These are the ones that were under the covers for a long time, and they are part of the Model Y standard crash testing program. and those are no longer needed, and because they've revealed the Model Y standard, we don't have to have those undercovers anymore. And we'll see a couple more undercover here. These 3 and the 4 on the left are all Cybercabs. And then, of course, one more of the Model Y standard crash test vehicle with part of the camouflage on it. Now, the reason why they have the covers on these Cybercabs, and as I maneuver around, we'll give you a better view of that, is that I think that they are preparing these to be recycled or gotten rid of. The one that we saw driving earlier, maybe just one of the last ones being used. But I did see them in the crash test facility last week. It looked like they were doing some disassembly work on them, maybe some engineering work, but all of these are prototypes, pre-production, and the fact that maybe they are getting rid of these is because they're getting ready to have the production ones showing up, and there's no need for these anymore. But that is a little bit of conjecture on my part. We can just see just how many of those Cybercabs are under those kind of colorful covers and what it looks like here at the crash test facility today. As I pull away, I'll kind of just check on these transformers, the green ones. This does not look like it's changed much in the last couple of days, so it's only that one grouping by that white tent on the far southwest that aren't moving off site. I'm going to bring the drone up and come over towards the Cortex 2 facility. We see a lot of the earthwork that's being done and the trenching with the concrete pipe for drainage coming along the east side here at the bottom left of the screen. This is connecting over to one of the ponds for drainage. We can see some other work associated with the drainage around this area as well. When I bring the drone back down, we can see the fenced off section for some of the materials remains here, although the other one is now gone because of the pipe. And we see some concrete prefabricated vaults being set up. As we look in through this opening, it does appear that the concrete slab has been poured to this point. Now they're working on the perimeter grade beam in the opening of that section of the building. The Keystone trailer and operations have been moved farther to the south. And as we can tell, the slab extends all the way through this part of the building. Now, there is a lot of work that's going on inside this part of the building, and I'll give you a view of it here momentarily through one of the openings, but there is a lot of pipe work being done. It looks like giant cooling system pipes that are being installed in addition to a false floor. And that's all behind the wall on the right-hand side of the screen, so the best place to view it is right here. So I'll bring the drone down a little lower. This is the west hallway as it's described in the permits, and it is at a higher grade than the rest of the building. And as I zoom in here, you can see those platforms that are making almost like a false floor, and in the top of the screen you can see those very large pipes that are being assembled, and they really do look a lot like cooling pipes that we saw being assembled in the south end of the building for Cortex 1, although at a different scale and makeup. So that's worth watching. We do see some excavation work for the roof drains on the right-hand side of the screen, and then here is one of the 3 large banks of conduit that extend from the electrical switchyard over to Cortex. This is the first one that was installed. It is farther along. You can tell all of the conduit that's been installed in the dual parallel trenches, and some of them even have the red concrete on top of the conduit. We do see these prefabricated concrete vaults in kind of an angle section here at the bottom of the screen. Some of it will connect over to the ones you see in the left of the screen, and then as I turn back around, you'll see more going through these concrete vaults over to connect to the 2 other areas where the conduit comes into the building. This is one of them. We see the grouping of 4 of the concrete vaults and the conduit that is extended through the perimeter grade beam, where we saw openings when they were making those that beam originally. And then here we see the northmost grouping of vaults and more of the conduit going through that perimeter grade beam into the building. So the power needs for this is definitely tremendous, as we can tell by the amount of conduit that's being run. The roof is essentially completed. Most of the materials have been installed, and it looks like they're in the process of doing a final cleanup. So not a lot more to be watching for, at least for right now, on the roof. The materials at the bottom of the screen, more of the pipes, those white ones are what we saw inside that are being arranged, which I believe is part of a cooling system. More of the concrete pipe segments here on the north end. See that water detention pond where a lot of the pipes are coming to for water drainage. And then here on the north end of the electrical switch yard extension, we see a grouping of a lot more of the steel and other items necessary to build up this extension. The perimeter fencing posts are all in now, so they're getting ready for that fencing to be installed. It will mimic what we see in the existing one to the right. We see steel items now vertical on the most north end of the expansion. There's still more footings to be made. We see the smaller ones, we see slabs, we even see some electrical boxes that have been attached to those two slabs on the west side. As we come in closer, I'll zoom in. We can tell that there's more work with concrete on the footings, drilling for more of the footings themselves, and the very large number 1 of 2 transformers is in the process of being unloaded right now. It's obviously very heavy. They have this heavy lift trailer that it comes on, and then they have these rails that kind of slide it across over to be mounted onto the slab. In the upper right, you can see one that's already installed, and this gives you a really great idea of what it will look like when it is completed. But they use these kind of rail systems, and they just sort of slide it off. The transformer is way too heavy for a crane, so this is the method that they use. And if you look at the semi-truck cab and compare it to that trailer, you can really get a sense for how heavy that is. As I pull away, we see some more material, some of the V-type circuit breaker tops here on the ground next to the disconnects. And of course, where the vault items are in the ground, the rest of the conduit has already been laid and the trenches filled back in. And they connect into the south part of these 3 trailers and that underground vault. You can see the red colored concrete of a couple of them going inside, and an opening where people are going in and out to work in this vault. Here's a closer view of that transformer from this vantage point. And again, just a great sense of that size of that trailer that they are using to deliver it. And I expect one more fairly soon, and then we'll see if they will expand for the third, just like the existing one. So that'll be it for this flight today. Kind of wide-ranging, everything from Cybercabs to Model Y standard production to power at the switchyard. I hope you enjoyed what we were able to see and talk about in the intro. As always, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. Have a great weekend.